should be good.
Yeah.
I think we just had a Blue Angel flyover.
Yeah. Welcome to Colorado Springs.
Yes. The Blue Angels. Wow, wow.
Coming at you.
Okay. 3, 7, 4.
Huh, huh.
Blue 80. Blue 80.
Omaha.
Okay.
The year 2000. America is a vast speedway. People line the streets to witness the greatest drivers on earth in a race from sea to shining sea.
This is a death race.
You finish first, or not at all. Death Race 2000. Every car a deadly weapon. Every spectator a potential point. It's a cross-country road wreck, and the traffic is murder.
Quite good. Attack warning. Is it for real? Attack warning. It's for bloody real.
Live from Colorado Springs, the Drop Culture Podcast.
Want to confirm, is this an exercise? Roger, copy. This is not an exercise.
Come on, quick, get down. 1, 2, 3.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Drop Culture Podcast. I'm Brock.
I'm Dan.
And we're that little podcast that takes that little piece of pop culture that you might have missed or forgotten about and shine it up real nice and cram it in your ear holes. This is our Thursday episode where we actually deep dive into a subject, movie, something like that, and we have fun with it.
Yeah.
This week, we actually picked a really good one. And I'm sorry, this is not necessarily a guilty pleasure because it's a cool movie, but it's a movie that I can watch, more than once in a day.
Well, it's nice when you find a film that's a piece of cinema that's based on, some literature.
Yeah. It's a piece of history too.
It is.
So what we are referring to, of course, is Death Race 2000.
Yes.
So literally, Death Race 2000 came out April 27th, 1975. So this was, I don't know, just such a crazy movie. Because a lot of the 70s movies at this time were kind of like this.
Yes.
Like Rollerball and not Solar Babies.
that was the 80s.
Ugh, that sucked. Newsies.
I'm going to make you do a Solar Babies
Oh, let's
episode.
do it. But this was a Roger Corman film because he'd been doing films for God knows how long. He did the very first, whatever you call it, Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
I mean, he was all over the place. This
Low
one,
budget producer.
yeah, exactly. But yet, everything in his movies were like, I don't know. They were so exciting. They had a pace to them. It was always super cool. Did he do a lot of the editing?
I don't know the answer. I know this was like a big thing for him because he really wanted to do a sports style film.
Oh, yeah. Like a Rollerball or something.
Mm-hmm.
But this one had David Carradine in it.
Yeah, David Carradine of Kung Fu fame.
Yes, he was Bill. But I love this movie, and here's a weird part too. I didn't watch this growing up. Never saw it. Up until about 5 years ago was the first time I saw it.
I was going to say, I don't think I really saw this movie until I was in my early 20s.
Yeah, it wasn't really on the stuff that I watched. Like, it wasn't on Skinamax or Hobo, anything like that. So it was like, I guess I missed it.
Yeah, I think one of my friends gave me this VHS back in the day,
That would be awesome. This, I really think it's a cool, super badass movie. It literally will keep you going the whole time, and it's only 80 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's an hour and 20 minutes.
Quick watch, but it's fun. Like you said, it's not. You never get lulled into
No, it doesn't draw it out.
No,
it's not very dramatic, but yet the characters immediately when they come out. The characterization of the people, they stick with it. They don't people don't get hearts and then decide they're going to change. But there's no real twist or turn in it, but do get kind of surprised if you've never seen it.
Right.
About, some of the stuff, and I'm not going to spoil it until we actually talk about it. But, this is always a great movie. Really starting off, it was directed by Paul Bartel.
Yes.
Now, Paul Bartel has done so many funny movies and good stuff. Him and Mary Warnoff are like a good team.
She's in this too.
I know. I don't know how they hooked up. This might have been their first one because they were in Rock and Roll High School. They were in, oh my God, they were in so many different things. And he's always in his movies too. They were in Chopping Mall together, Eating Raoul.
Yeah. Well, they were the same characters, right?
Yeah, in Chopping Mall.
And like you mentioned, Rock and Roll High School. I did not know that he was in Eat My Dust, which is a Ron Howard movie.
Oh, that's right.
From back in the day, like 76, I think.
Oh, dude, he was, I don't know.
He did a couple movies with Ron Howard, actually.
Really?
Yeah. That one specifically, off the top of my head. But yeah, there was another one as well.
Of course, he was on one of the greatest movies of all time, Escape from L.A.
Sure.
He did a lot of background stuff too. So I think they were gonna at one point, him and Mary Warnoff were gonna get back together and do another Eating Raoul sequel.
Yeah, I had heard that as well.
And he died like right before it happened. They'd always talked about it and done all kinds of different things like that, but never really got to it.
He was directed at one time by Brian De Palma.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Hi Mom.
Oh,
from like 1970.
He was in The Usual Suspects.
Yeah. Well, again.
Yeah. L.A. Law, Gremlins 2, which that's like the part that I remember him the most. That was probably the first time I ever really saw him and paid attention.
Okay.
Like when he's a theater manager and and he has to come in Hulk Hogan, it has to be like, hey, you gremlins, we all paid to watch this great movie, eat this great popcorn and drink these powerful sodas. Yeah, because I thought actually that the film had broke at the Dollar Theater. I was like, whoa, this is weird. But it's the Gremlins,
Absolutely.
Caddyshack 2.
Yeah.
These are his acting credits. Yep. Caddyshack 2 with Dan Aykroyd. You shall be called Mrs. Esterhaus.
I didn't realize the reason that he stayed in independent film really was because of him being openly gay. I had no idea that's why he stayed in independent film, because it gave him more options.
Oh, okay.
Do things.
Makes sense, at that.
Well, especially at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, in the 70s and 80s, that wasn't anything that was really... it was still kind of taboo. It still is, but not in the same way.
Yeah.
It's more accepted now.
Of course.
He was in one of my favorite movies, Munchies. It was pretty good too.
He was in Amazon Women on the Moon.
Oh, National Lampoon's European Vacation. Follow That Bird.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Heart Beeps.
I don't know what that is.
That was the, what's his name? Latka. What's the dude? Jesus.
Yakov Smirnoff?
No. Yeah, this is a weird one that kind of came out of nowhere.
What'd you say his name? Vodka?
Latka. Andy Kaufman, Bernadette Peters, Randy Quaid. Basically, they're like robots.
Well,
yeah.
I'm going to have to watch that. That sounds like a really cool cast.
Just fucking weird. Yeah. Cannonball. Eat My Dust, of course. He was a doctor in this one. And he directed, some really good movies. I thought, Lust in the Dust. Have you ever seen that one?
No.
Lust in the
Not
Dust.
that I remember anyways.
Yeah, well, it kind of came out about the same time that the Tom Berenger movie came out, the singing cowboy one.
Oh, okay.
You remember that one?
Uh-huh.
And it has Andy Griffith in it. It's like it's the second best performance by Andy Griffith ever. The first one being, a face in the crowd, but then to me in the movies, of course he's Sheriff Andy, you know what I mean? So that was his greatest
fucking
role.
Matlock.
Yeah. Fucking Matlock too. But, Lust in the Dust, had Divine.
Okay.
And it had, Tab Hunter in it. So, which is really weird. Tab Hunter was in a lot of, I can't think of it. Divine's movies too. Shit. Wow. What was his name? God dang it, John Waters movies.
Okay.
Tab Hunter was kind of like the good-looking dude that was in these weird movies with Divine. But Divine was playing, you know, a woman in this.
Sure.
And I remember watching this, I don't know how many times back in the day, because I remember Love at Stake.
Yes.
That movie, the Tom Berenger movie, and Lust in the Dust were the 3 movies at that period that I had watched so many times because I think I had them on VHS or something like that, which is kind of crazy. But he directed that one. It was funny. It was just a weird movie, you know?
Right. Well, in this movie, he got a little, you know, like he had mentioned in one of them that like all of the parts that he really loved, his guilty pleasures, I think is how he said it, were all taken out by Corman. And he goes, maybe he was being more he was really cool about it. He's like, maybe he was being more objective than I am, or I was, but you know, he's like a lot of the comedy parts.
Oh,
you know, which I can totally see.
Yeah.
Martel.
It was just weird stuff, man. It was just a weird deal. Of course, it was based on a book, The Racer.
Yes.
By Ib Melchior.
Yep, and that's why I let you say that.
That's what my computer's name is, Melchior.
Nice. Yeah. So.
Never read the book. Probably can't find it.
I wouldn't. No. Yeah. I hadn't tried to find that.
You know, sometimes you want to look at these short stories like The Running Man. I can't find it.
Really?
I really can't find it.
I'm sure that it's in this other room.
Oh, that would be cool. But let's get into the principal cast.
Weren't we doing something about a movie?
Yeah. So, of course, you got David Carradine. This was the first movie he did after Kung Fu.
Yeah, they had to wait for him to be done filming Kung Fu to do this.
Well, he had to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Is basically the way he saw it. Because if he didn't make a movie right after he got done with such an epic show,
right,
he was probably not going to work for a while.
Right.
So he
because you get typecast, you get like, hey, it's the Kung Fu guy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. But he never ended up being that, you know?
No, he did not. And, of course, he plays Frankenstein in this. And Frankenstein. So I think we should probably give like the idea of what's going on in the movie so we can explain who these people are.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
Because Frankenstein's not going to make any sense if you don't know what's going on.
Correct. Do you want to read the...
Well, yeah. So basically what happens is there's a big world crash in 1979. So the government's all kind of restructured at that point. And becomes more of like a regime where like people are a little more oppressed.
Totalitarian.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
And everything's under martial law too, right?
There you go. So what they do is like kind of, and this reminds me a little bit of The Purge.
Yeah.
You know, like later, obviously The Purge was much later, but like to give the people something, they're like, hey, we're going to do this transcontinental road race.
Isn't it biannual or is it annual?
Annual.
Okay.
I believe because this takes place in 2000, they do reference the 99.
Yes.
And the 97 one.
All the different crashes that
Frankenstein was in.
Yeah.
So basically what they do is they give them this transcontinental road race. The drivers basically in these crazy cars, and we'll kind of get into that. And what they do is they get points for hitting people.
Yeah.
And babies are worth 100.
Yeah.
As they would be.
Yeah.
Women are worth more than men.
Right.
You
like
know?
10 more or 20
Old
more
people
points.
are worth quite a bit more than, you know.
Like 100 points for men
I
or
don't think it
100
was
points for
100.
old people.
No, I think it was babies were 100, right?
I thought the old people were like
doesn't
110.
matter.
Yeah, anyway.
We're digressing.
But
let's not break down the point system.
But they were all kind of like wrestlers too. You know, they all had these personas.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. It does remind you a lot of like 80s wrestling where like you had the Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
And you know, all those different characters.
Yeah, you have a gangster, you have the Undertaker
you
type
have
of
a Nazi. You have
But yet her master race is women.
Yeah. Weird. Yeah, crazy. So anyways, Frankenstein, who is played by David Carradine, is he is like the most famous of them all, and he's won all of them, I guess.
He's won the most races.
Yeah, but it seems like every time they talk about it, he won that race too.
Yeah, it's like he won all the races, but yet has the highest kill count, everything like that. And then right underneath him is Joe, the Turbo.
And who's that played by?
Sylvester Stallone.
In 1975, Sylvester Stallone.
No wonder he had to sell his dog.
'Cause he made this movie.
Oh my God.
And he is terrible in this movie.
You know, and you can't really see him being like, oh yeah, man, this dude's going to be fucking awesome in the future.
No, and you got to remember that the movie is what it is.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not like he had it wasn't like Francis Ford Coppola was directing him.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Well, that's awesome because he, from what I read too, he wrote a couple of his own lines.
I'm sure he did.
Kind of did some things over.
And he is our major antagonist within this movie.
He's the Chicago gangster.
Yeah, he's the competition, if you will. And then you have Calamity Jane, and she drives the car that's got the steer horns on them.
And that's Mary Warnoff.
Yes, it is.
Of course, she's one of the greatest actors of all time, actresses.
And then Matilda the Hun.
Roberta Collins.
And she is the Nazi.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Nero the hero, the Roman gladiator. And this is the guy I actually forgot was even in this movie.
Yeah, me too.
It's Kreese from Karate Kid, the sensei, the bad sensei.
And he's only in it for not too long.
Yeah, well, spoiler alert, he dies real quick. Because what we need to know is while all these racers are getting ready to go do this race, there's a resistance group.
Right.
And this is where it kind of like Thomasina Paine, come on.
I know, right?
So she's a descendant of Thomas Paine. Freedom. But anyways, so they decide that they're going to stop this race from happening and the senseless violence and all that.
Yeah, they're going to end everything.
So yeah, they have a plan where they're going to basically take out all these drivers.
Right, right.
And we'll leave that there until we get into story because there's a double agent.
Yes. But, okay. Well, now we have the backstory.
Yes.
Now, of course, we'll keep going through a little bit more of the actors.
Yeah, now we're good with the actors because I think we kind of hit all of the main racers, right?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Now they all have navigators too.
Yes.
So Simone Griffith, right? She is Frankenstein's navigator.
And he gets a new navigator every time because they all die.
Yeah. Somehow they
pretty
all die,
awesome.
yeah. And it's always usually a woman or the opposite sex.
Right. And they even said there's a point where a fan comes up to Frankenstein and he's like, are you trying to give me your body or something like that? And he's like, no, she earned that, that's why she's your navigator. And I'm like, what the hell?
And that's weird. She's like, well, that honor goes to my navigator. Now, Louisa Moritz, she plays Myra, right?
Yeah. Myra is Joe Viterbo's
navigator.
Yeah.
You know what else she was in? One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Okay.
Up in Smoke.
Really?
Yes. So she had a pretty good run. She was in a lot of crap, but she was the in Up in Smoke whenever they went to the whatever you call it, what's that shit? The police station. Mm-hmm. She was the one that was giving them cocaine and weed.
Oh, yeah. I never even made that connection.
Where he's like, awesome. Lard ass. Soul radio, whoa.
Yeah, and so, yeah, she's like the main female character.
Yeah. She did a lot of weird stuff. She was in Cannonball, too. I guess a lot of these people were in Cannonball.
Well, as they would be.
Right.
Makes sense.
You got Don Steele as the real Don Steele.
Well, no, that was his
Junior
name
Bruce.
was the real Don Steele, but he was Junior Bruce. And he's the announcer.
Yeah, he's the one that you kind of notice.
Right.
You've seen him before, but you're like, I don't really know. The rest of them?
Don Steele, he was a big 60s DJ, I believe. And then he was in some movies. I know he played a DJ in this first movie, I believe. But the last movie he did was actually Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he was the voice.
Oh, nice.
In I believe, the radio.
And he was rocking Ricky Rialto.
Yes. Yes, he was.
Well, you know that Thomasina Paine, she was actually in The Terminator.
As what?
Customer.
That makes sense, because she is old as all old.
Well, shit, she was in Jag. Damn.
So, most importantly, out of all of these navigators and all that, man, my favorite one's Fred Gandy. Fred Gandy is the German Hermann Bach, which is Matilda the Hun's navigator, and he was Gopher on Love Boat.
Oh, yeah.
The Love Boat, exciting and new.
It's just such an unusual casting, and everybody did as good as they wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't think there was a lot of pressure to
No.
like step your game up.
and I think Sylvester Stallone was just trying. Of course, he was trying to make a name for himself. Everybody was trying to do something.
Yeah, he's like, they're paying me money to make a movie.
Yeah, and I think everybody that gets movies like this are like, I'm going to do my best. And some of them are good, and you could tell that they're going to have a future.
Right.
Or some of them are really horrible, and you're like, I'll never see them in anything ever again.
Right. Which is, I assume, what people thought when they saw Sylvester Stallone. in
Pretty
this movie.
much.
Yeah. So did you see the...
Did he win an Academy Award?
Yeah, right? Wrote an Academy Award-winning movie.
Yeah.
And starred in it. And now is Sylvester Stallone that we all know and love.
Yeah.
Did you see John Landis was in this movie?
Where at?
He played the mechanic in the scene where they're in the bay with all the cars.
Oh, and the Nero's car is all destroyed? Oh, for real. No wonder that Thomasina Payne chick was in Schlock. Because that movie
Like,
Schlock
hey, you
was
wanna
like
be
his
in
first
this?
one. Yeah. I like you. You want to be in Schlock?
You were great in Death Race 2000. Whoa.
But
Whoa.
and that's pretty much all the principles for everything. So again, we're in this weird transcontinental road race that starts in New York. They have 2 stops. One is in where's the first stop at?
St.
Louis.
St. Louis, yeah.
The next one is in Arizona.
Albuquerque.
Albuquerque, right?
Mexico, yes.
Has to be where fucking Bugs Bunny's always going.
Yeah.
Right?
He took a wrong turn in Albuquerque.
Of course, it's right there, right?
Yes.
And then it ends in LA, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have to be going really fast for that. Because they only stop and it's like the next day.
Well, I think they make a comment that their cars go like 200 and something miles an hour.
They're doing 200 and something.
In those little crazy carnival cars.
Yeah.
And just so you know, like, let's get into those cars a little bit so we can kind of build out these caricatures of human beings that are these characters.
Right.
So Frankenstein drives a lizard car, dragon car with teeth.
I don't know what you would
it's got
call it.
scales or something though.
Yeah, it looks like the ride that you get in whenever you're 5 years old that goes in a circle.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. As soon as you said it, I'm like, you were not wrong.
It looks like the boat paint with flakes in it and shit. It's just not very cool looking.
Right.
But supposedly it's very fast. Now, I did read that most of these were supposedly put on Volkswagen chassis.
That makes complete sense, actually.
But they weren't.
Oh, really?
I think that it was actually like his car was actually a Corvette, maybe?
Really?
If you look at the lines on that car, you can kind of tell. Most of them are kit cars anyway.
I could see him using those Volkswagen chassis just because
They're small.
Yeah, they're small, and those cars were small with bigger, but like you could tell the metal frame, like Joe Viterbo's car, you could tell that's just frame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's just so weird. His car looks more like a Hot Wheels. They all look like Hot Wheels
and then he's got
cars.
that big giant knife coming out the front.
Yeah.
and it's like an actual knife, like
Yeah.
look
And
weird.
you got Tommy guns for the lights.
Yeah,
You know?
as you would.
Then you got the German one, the Buzz Bomb.
Yes.
Which that one supposedly is a Studebaker.
Really?
It's probably a Studebaker body on
something
something
else,
else.
sure.
Yeah. But everything doesn't have like a hood on it, or not a hood, but a roof on it. So everybody kind of jumps in their cars. Frankenstein has that one little deal that goes in the middle.
Yeah, like the scales that go up the back.
Yeah, it's weird.
But
yeah, it's like the
like-
Batmobile almost.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and then you got Mary Warnoff's car, Calamity Jane, which she's got the steer.
Yeah.
You know, of course. And Home Dude, her navigator is like, he's a 12-string guitar player or something. Weird.
And then, of course, you have Gopher and Matilda the Hun and the Buzz Bomb. You said that. And then, Nero the Hero. His car.
His car, you don't really get to see a
Very
lot.
much.
But it's kind of almost like a monster car, too. Because it does have its own fins and weird stuff. Weird. And it says Frankenstein's Corvette.
Oh,
you
really?
know?
So it was a Corvette.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't gather that, but I could see it now that you say that. Like you said, the body style kind of lends to it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's got that really sloping, really cool stuff. Yeah, I guess they were selling it at some point because it is a vet. Yeah, you see that swoop in it and everything like that. It's all the stuff is really cool. They didn't need teeth on this shit. No, I don't think so.
But whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It had really.
I don't
cool
think
stuff.
that lends to the aerodynamics.
Yeah, it's a 1975 C3 Corvette.
No, I don't know what that means. I don't know what the C3 means.
Meaning C3PO?
Maybe. Not in 1975.
They only sold it for $20,000 to $25,000.
Well, of course, because it was 1975 money, which is worth a lot more than our money.
No, I'm talking about like.
Oh, you mean the?
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah. We're like the two people that are in this town that know this movie.
Yeah, that'd be so odd. But that was 2015. That would have been so awesome to have. But it looks like it. I don't know. It looks like it has something else, part of it, like a blower engine in it. So yeah,
Weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah. So they're in these cars and they start at a motor speedway, right?
well, yeah, and I wanted to talk about Frankenstein a little bit when we get started.
Right.
Frankenstein, again, he's been in all these wrecks. They actually bring him in like all covered up. And like, yeah, they brought him from these doctors in Sweden who put him back together. You know, like they keep putting him back together and like talk about like how his arm's not real and like one of his eyes and
half of his face.
But then the other half happened in the next wreck,
his leg. God, and whenever he gets, cause Paul Bartel brings him out, right?
Right.
And you have the announcer that's like, we're awaiting the arrival of a close personal friend of mine, Frankenstein. Which is cool that they call him Frankenstein because he's pieced together, you know, supposedly. So you get to see him get up and he starts walking all wonky and stuff.
And I like that they show it from his point of view and it's all foggy and crazy.
Yeah. It's like he just awoke from a surgery.
Well, didn't they say that they like had him in, like, was it cryo or was he just sedated or something?
Something like that. Because he was just having that.
Over
Yeah.
from Sweden.
Yeah. And then
Or Swiss.
Yeah. Because his
Swiss
new
doctors.
arm basically was supposed to help him shift gears faster.
Yeah.
He's like, now you can shift gears at 0.2 seconds.
And he's
or
like,
something.
do you want to comment on that? And he's like, no.
Yeah. The president is just fine.
So he wears like all black. He's got a cape and almost like a Darth Vader helmet.
Yeah. It's weird.
And I'm like, this is a little bit before Vader, so that's cool. And then, like, you can see his eyes jacked up underneath the black mask that he's wearing.
His
so
right
you never
eye.
see his face, you know?
Yeah, you only see his teeth at first.
And he's like, he's got some teeth going on.
Yeah,
like, it's like almost like his face has been mangled or something.
Right,
you know?
right. He pulls it off. But also, the kicker on that helmet, he has two little electrodes on the side.
Yes, he does. Just like Frankenstein.
I know, it's pretty badass. Supposedly, he wouldn't wear leather. David Carradine wouldn't, so they put him in that, whatever that spandex outfit thing.
Why wouldn't he wear leather?
I don't know.
Is he like a vegan or something?
Was probably hot.
Oh, that's true.
Chafing,
too. Yeah.
you know? Because he just had his black whitey tighties on.
Well, it's a long way after you're going from wearing like kung fu robes for like 10 years.
Right. He's like, I ain't wearing that shit. Give me more zippers. So yeah, I mean, you get to meet the first characters, of course. They all pull up, and Nero's there, Joe Viterbo,
Matilda the Hun,
Calamity Jane. They're all there. So we're awaiting Frankenstein, the greatest racer of all time.
Yes.
So he's walking up to his car, and he gets to see his navigator for this time. And she's like, I've checked it all over. Everything looks good. And he's like, not good until I say it's good.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick to her at first.
He's a dick at first. He really is. And so, yeah, he finally gets out there, and then Viterbo spits on his car.
Yeah.
He's like, you're going to pay for that, Viterbo. But somebody immediately, like, wipes it off, too.
Right.
And then, of course, you know, you get the whole play-by-play by the one dude that's like Howard Cosell.
Yeah.
And they're on TV, so this is broadcast everywhere. So you get that sense of, yeah, this is something that they're giving the people, supposedly.
Right. And
So-
people are into it. They're into it.
Right.
No doubt.
And these cars are like super small, but like super badass.
Right.
And they're supposed to be going really fast, like you said, like,
It's like 200 some miles. But Yeah, they don't look like they're going that fast ever.
No.
Unless it's a cutscene and it looks like it's speeded up like in the 1940s. There's a couple of those where I'm like, oh, maybe they are fast.
Yeah. Yeah, because apparently Mary Warnoff couldn't drive.
Oh, really?
So they had to tow her, or they had like a stunt driver.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Makes sense. So yeah, they got to make it to their first stop, which is in St. Louis.
Correct.
So they start in New York and they're going through the tunnels, but then everybody splits off at one point.
Right.
Which is kind of crazy because you don't really get to see, there's no points scored because, the Howard Cosell goes through everybody saying, oh, this is how much this is worth, how much this is worth, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
blah.
it gives you the breakdown of the system.
Correct. And there's always, every once in a while, they'll be like, is that okay with the judges? And the judges are like, oh, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So
And who scores the first point?
isn't it Viterbo?
It is Viterbo.
Yeah, because that one dude is working on the road. Come on, the transcontinental road race is happening right now.
And you're working on the road.
For real.
Unfortunately, he was only 38.
Yeah.
Because then they have that guy's wife on the show. She's like crying and she's like, but still part of it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, she's like, it's okay.
She's like,
but she's
"Oh."
crying.
Yeah, because she had the privilege of her husband being the first kill.
Yeah.
She's in my
And then
house.
she got an apartment in Maui or something.
Something like that, yeah, in like another country.
Yeah.
And she's going to
I
be
don't remember
watching
where
it
it
on
was.
her 50-inch
You'll be watching
television.
next year's race on your 50-inch.
What? Because it's around this point, too, they introduce the...
It's pretty futuristic in 1975.
Right. Yeah. 50-inch TV. Holy crap. That was like a movie theater.
Exactly.
But we get to see the rebels.
Yes.
For a little bit. They're
yeah,
in
they
some
do cut to the
industrial park.
rebels, and Thomasina Payne's kind of almost like mad that they're going to go do the plan.
Yeah.
Like, you know, she's like resistant to it, and then she's like, "Okay, let's do it."
Yeah. She's like, I'm going with you.
And isn't it the first leg of their race? Is that where we get where she breaks into the broadcast?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they hear it going over the air, right? Because they're
Right.
interrupting everything.
And the people who are watching TV are seeing
her.
her in black and white, which looks like she's from the 1700s.
Well, she only breaks in after they explode Nero.
You're right. So
Yeah.
we should get into that first.
Because
I apologize.
Nero's like hauling ass, and he's like, oh, well, I need to score some points.
And there's like
A picnic.
a picnic going on, and they're like, no, the girl's like, hit the baby.
Yeah, get the baby.
But little do they know the baby was a bomb.
Yeah, the dude.
And it made sense because earlier when they were talking, like he's putting on like a bonnet or something, like a big hat, a big woman's hat.
Yeah.
And she's like, I see you're ready to do the plan or something.
Right.
And you're like, what the heck is going on? And then you go at the picnic scene and he's the woman at the picnic.
Right. And he has like the classic where the detonation device where he's like, come on a little bit closer. Blows him up, of course.
Right.
But then she cuts in, right? So she's on the air and she's telling them all this shit. They're listening over the radio and, you know, they're just like, whatever. But little do we know, that Frankenstein's co-pilot, which is Thomasina Payne's granddaughter or something?
Yes.
Because they kind of allude to that.
They do. That she's her great granddaughter or something.
Oh,
right?
that's right,
'Cause
yeah.
The other lady's like really old.
Yeah. So she's infiltrated her way all the way up there. And it's like an honor.
Great granddaughter, Annie Smith.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, it's weird because I guess there has to be some sort of a vetting deal to get as to be
Navigator.
a navigator, right?
Sure.
Of course. Especially for Frankenstein, right?
So
'Cause
my
he's a national hero.
My favorite thing about this movie is after she like breaks in and talks about it and Nero's dead and they're like, no, it was the French.
Yeah. What?
Why wouldn't you blame the French?
Yeah. Yeah, because that was after the second attack.
Was it?
Yeah, it was the second day before they got to Albuquerque, right? Because
From St. Louis,
after Nero explodes and they go through that whole deal, now they're all getting massages in some plaza somewhere.
That's right.
Everybody's naked except for Frankenstein. He's not even there.
And Frankenstein's so awesome because he just walks up to Paturbo's girl And he's like, leans in real close, and he's like, just tell him I was whispering sweet nothings.
So he's playing a game already.
Yeah.
She's like, he was whispering nothings in my ears.
He said didn't she mess it up though?
Yeah. He was
She's
like,
like,
he's whispering nothing.
My ears are nothing or something,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Some weird comment the way she said it, because she's not very bright, obviously.
And then, of course,
She hangs out with Myra.
Yeah.
I mean, she hangs out with Joe Paterbo.
Yeah.
So.
And then
Maybe too
she
bright.
gets slapped on TV and
On
everything.
TV
And you
in
could tell that some of the people were like, ugh.
Yeah.
You know, because the Buzz Bomb woman and Calamity Jane start fighting almost.
Yes.
You know, they almost get into
over Gopher.
Right. Something weird.
Because she kind of hits on her
Yeah.
navigator quite often.
Yeah, she's like, hopefully you'll stay hard this time or something
Yeah.
like that. He's like,
Gopher.
But
Show you my love boat.
but then we get the conference. It's weird too. It's like the sets. It looks like they rented out like an event center.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
It's like a baseball card show, and they put up some walls, but yet they have the red carpet in there. It's the shit that they could put away. You
Right.
know what I mean? And it's got the big exit sign, the water bed and shit.
Yep.
You know?
Is this where she, Annie Smith, Frankenstein's navigator, tells Joe Paterbo about the detour?
Yes. So she tells him about it, and then she's getting out of the shower, and he's like, "What are you doing?" Because she's already seen him without the mask at that point.
Right.
Anyway.
And what you find out once he takes off his mask is
he's just normal.
a normal dude.
Yeah.
But doesn't he say a comment in there where I'm the one that's supposed to win it this year? I've been bred for this.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's a different Frankenstein every time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Because they can hide the fact behind that. So he might be a clone. He might be something else. I don't know. Because they got to look similar to win, you know?
You
and
would
they're hidden
think.
by a mask.
Yeah.
So. But,
I'll be the last.
yeah. But yeah, so he strips down to his skivvies and then he bangs her.
There's a lot of boobies.
Yeah, there's a lot of
movie.
boobies at that point.
So
There's like at least
throughout
20
this whole
boobies.
movie, there's quite a few boobies.
Yeah.
This movie, and real quick, I do want to say that it is available for free on Tubi if you want to watch it. However, Tubi means no booby.
Yeah. Tubi, no boobies.
No boobies on Tubies.
At first I was like, wait a minute. Oh my God, this is Tubi. It's a free deal.
Yeah.
Oh, no wonder.
yeah.
Damn it, I feel gypped. And they don't really show a lot.
No.
And it's not really that bad, but they cover up the butts.
And they cover up everything.
Yeah, everything, right?
But, if you're not watching it to look at boobies,
yeah.
you can still watch it on Tubi for free.
Exactly.
Boobies on Tubies.
Movies on Tubi's for free with commercials
Yeah.
for Amazon.
Weird.
Yeah. But yeah, that's
It's like having a commercial on HBO Max for Disney Plus.
that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna merge one of these days.
Yeah, that never happened.
I know.
You can't not have AT&T without Verizon.
That's right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah.
They're just a different name.
Yeah, absolutely.
All owned by the same megalomaniac.
But we digress.
But we digress because he bangs her.
Yes,
So
he does.
He totally bangs her, and then the next day they get into because Joe Paterbo's pissed before he arrived because he was the first one there.
Yes.
And that one dude, because nobody's really scored any points, and before they even get to the massage parlor with all the weird beefcake dudes, weird stuff. And it says, well, what about welcome Joe Viterbo? He gets all mad. So he knocks the dude off. And that looked pretty brutal too.
Absolutely. And yeah, he came back for good measure just to make sure.
He's like, is it okay? Is this legal? And the dude's like, yeah, kill him.
Gives him the thumbs down.
Yeah. So it's like a gladiator thing.
Right.
So yeah, he runs over that dude, but literally he just kind of clips him.
Right.
And then he runs over his head.
So on the way to St. Louis, isn't that where we get the old folks home?
Yes.
Because-
No. The first part of it was the old folks home. Cause it was, whatever you
That's what I'm
call it.
saying. From there to St. Louis.
Yes. Yeah.
Because Machine Gun Joe Viterbo,
Viterbo. Yeah.
he scores the first point, and then they're like, oh, Frankenstein's at this thing. And he says that, yeah, this is where they put out the people just to like get rid of them.
It's
basically.
Euthanasia Day.
Euthanasia Day.
Yeah,
That's
every
they
year
do it
they
every
do the same
year.
thing. Yeah.
And instead of hitting all the old people, he cuts around to like the sidewalk and takes out all the doctors.
Yeah, he
And
gets
I'm like,
the nurses and the doctors, and he scores more points.
well, no, he doesn't score as many points, but he kills them.
Yeah.
And even one of the announcers, I think it's the my friend lady,
Yeah.
she's like, they have been pretty smug. The doctors, my dear friends, have been pretty smug.
Yeah, it's funny because you see him, you see all the nurses just like, oh,
Yeah, totally.
they're all jumping
Very
around.
cartoony.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And then he's like, yeah, and Viterbo knocks over the dude that's on the
ladder.
But
And
yeah,
they put up a Frankenstein
yeah,
sign.
the banner.
Yeah.
And then they're in that, like you said, the parking garage, and they're kind of cleaning all the cars. And you see Nero's car. Why did they drop it off there?
I don't know. Here's a smashed car.
Yeah.
Blown up car.
It's blown up, you know, and that's kind of weird.
Nobody
And
was cleaning it though.
no. So yeah, the next day starts, right? And they're, I guess, in front of their event center. I don't know where
Yeah,
they were.
whatever.
And Frankenstein looks
They're at
over.
the Civic Center.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the Amarillo Civic Center. That's what ours is called. And he drops his left-hand glove.
Yes.
He drops it on the ground.
And this is so good because they have the guy, the clergy.
Yeah. The
is
guy that's
out
blessing the
blessing
race.
the race, right? So he drops his glove and they all take off and then he turns left like he's coming back around and just kills the clergy guy.
Yeah.
Reaches down and picks up his glove on the way.
Yeah.
He's like,
same
oh,
time.
I dropped that.
Yeah. I dropped my glove.
And that's when they go to the judges.
Yeah.
The judges are like, yeah, it counts.
It's legal. Yeah. And then Viterbo's pissed off.
Yeah.
Because he's got.
You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that. That's wrong. You know, you're a real bad mashed potato. Whatever he says. So this is where does Warnoff actually get into the bullfighter dude?
I think this is here with the Matador.
Yeah.
There's just a random Matador. I guess, you know, because it's a big event. They know the characters, so they're like, yeah.
I'm going to be a matador. And the dude's like doing really good.
Yeah, he is. And the whole time she's like going after him. I'm like, well, how much time is she wasting on this dude?
Right. But then she does get him.
She does.
Yeah. She gores him. So yeah, they're on their way to Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Joe Paturbo takes the detour that she told him to take and finds out that road just ends.
Yeah. Cause, Frankenstein already knew that too.
Yeah.
Frankenstein was like, that ends in a dead end. Why do you want to go that way? Well, I just told Viterbo.
And then when she's with him, she says, well, let's go to this, place where they have senators locked up or whatever it was. They were like politicians.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, okay,
Yeah.
finally, you know, where's this at? You know, and so she's supposed to be navigating.
And then they go into the weird wooded area.
Yeah. So, and this is where we figure out that there's a plot to replace him because there's another guy dressed up as him.
Just like him.
Him.
Looks like a gimp.
Right. So they totally have a plan to replace him in the race, basically, because the winner of this race gets to shake the Mr. President's hand.
Yeah. The big president's hand.
Yeah.
Which he's been president for what, 20 years or some shit like that?
More, yeah.
20 or 30 years, yeah.
Well, it's got to be at least since the crash.
20, yeah.
So that would be 20 years.
20 years, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's why he wants to win so bad.
But that doesn't work out because he just runs through them all in his car.
Right. Yeah, no. Yeah, you know, like he literally, they have it blocked and then he like does a U-turn.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the hell was that? You know, let's go.
She's like, I don't know.
Whoops. I didn't know that was going to be there.
I don't remember what they called that place. But later on, like, he calls her out on it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What the hell's going on? Where is that place? And she's like, Japan. You know, the place where she was trying to lead him to.
Yeah, when they're driving, he's like, how far to blah, blah, blah place?
Yeah.
And she goes, about 20 miles.
Yeah.
And he's like, now wait a minute.
Right.
Yeah. But this is where we get into the another like Bugs Bunny type of a deal, right? Roadrunner.
Right.
Where the buzz bomb gets roadrunnered. You know what I mean?
They totally roadrunner. They throw up a so that the Resistance throws up a detour sign in the middle of the road and then has a tunnel.
A fake one with black.
Yeah, like a fake tunnel, like made out of cardboard or something. And of course,
because she ran over Warnoff's Calamity Jane's Navigator
While he was working on the car.
working on the car. She
side
runs
of
him
the
over
road.
and she's like, "Screw you!" and goes straight after her. And it's
Right.
really like almost about to get her, and she's freaking out.
Right. And then she's like, just what I needed, a detour.
Yeah.
And then goes right off a cliff. Calamity Jane saw that shit, I guess, and
Yeah.
she stopped.
Yeah, it's a total like, and then they're like, "Oh my god, what just happened?" And they're like, "Oh, what's her nuts? She's dead or some." They say something, and they're like, "Wait a
Matilda
minute,
the Hun.
yeah, Matilda the Hun has just had a horrible accident. Wait
And
a
then
minute."
they're like, they come over and they give him a piece of paper, right?
He's like, "Oh,
No,
on the
she
contrary,
just scored a lot of points.
Yes. Yeah, she got a lot of points. What? She got Bugs Bunnied.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I guess maybe they were counting the points for herself.
I guess, right?
I think they were just covering it up.
Yeah.
So they again, they're suppressing that this is a real
Yeah.
thing. These rebels.
Right, and Warnoff's all like freaked out at that point too, because she knows. Because by the time they get to Albuquerque, they're all sitting at dinner somewhere, and like they're like dancing in a disco at first, you know.
And then it's just the three of the drivers, right? Sitting with like because
It's all of them, yeah.
Navigators are there too.
Navigators and the drivers all at
except
that one
for
table.
Matilda or Calamity Jane's because he's dead.
Yes,
That's why there's one
Yeah.
missing. So Myra and Annie Smith are there.
yes,
Is that Annie Smith? Yeah, whatever.
yeah,
Annie.
yeah.
And this is basically like whoever the president put in charge of the race, I guess.
Yeah.
He's super cool guy with
He's
his
like, I
70s
can kill
glasses.
you whenever I want to.
Whoa, calm down there,
Yeah,
buddy.
and like Viterbo, Sylvester Stallone is like a horrible eater.
He's just got like whipped cream all over himself. Just terrible.
Yeah, and
And
he's like,
you got to give us protection.
yeah, and Warnoff saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Calamity Jane, everybody's like,
Not Calamity Jane. Or no, Calamity
yeah,
Jane. was,
and then he keeps saying something like, "Stop playing that song," and
Oh,
they
to
keep
the
playing
guy,
it.
the like band that walks in.
Yeah,
like,
it's
the violins.
yeah, it's like a violin. It's a string quartet or something. He's like, "Quit playing that song." So he says it like twice, and then he grabs the white violin and smashes it. "I told you to quit." We're like, oh, that's
and this
weird.
is where we get the part where he follows Annie out to the
Frankenstein's car.
Frankenstein's car, yeah.
Because she's trying to get something.
Yeah, I don't know that we ever see that, what she's trying to get.
Was it like a transponder or something? I don't know.
know.
Why did they need
Could have
that?
been a
'Cause it was on
transformer. I don't
yeah.
know.
It was on TV, so they would
Yeah.
know where they're at, you know?
Yeah, but at any rate, so he follows her in there, and then he's like mad because of the detour situation that she told him.
So he starts choking her.
Yeah. So like, and he makes a great comment about something about her life, which is going to last about a minute and a half. And then, of course, then Frankenstein walks in,
Kicks his ass.
kicks his ass hard.
Yeah. I mean, like, whenever he gets that final punch in, and he's laying on the hood of his own car, and he's like, "I'm gonna get you, Frankenstein. Next time I see you, I'm gonna kill you." But he's like dazed and stunned and stuff.
Absolutely.
The best
like he got
acting that he
knocked
did.
around by Dolph Lundgren.
Yes. Best acting he did in the whole movie.
Yeah, not bad. The fight choreography is terrible. So terrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it was 75 and a little budget. No, it was terrible.
No.
And I think maybe that's why when he made Rocky, he's like, no, this is how we do it.
Yeah, that could be. He's like, we're not gonna
doing that shit again.
I'm not gonna come in and be like, I don't know, fight. How do you do it? I don't know. Just watch this movie.
And then that's the last leg of the race, right? They're going from Albuquerque to LA.
L.A. So yeah. So doesn't she? Because at this point, he's still kind of like suspicious of her.
Yeah.
And
Well, this is where he kind of calls her out. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck's going on?
yeah, and then he
He
bangs her
doesn't say
again.
that.
Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah, he bangs her again, but she's in a weird position too, like where she's like spun around.
Yeah.
She's laying on the bed and he like unzips and then he grabs her, but he always leaves his glove on.
There's one glove. And she
One
even
glove.
asks him. She's
Why
like,
don't
why
you
don't
take
you?
this off?
He's like, that's my secret.
Yeah. So they're basically they're going on the next leg and
And this is where he kind of reveals that he knows what's going on.
yeah, he's like, I'm not stupid.
And this is where they have that Japan conversation earlier, right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
She
That's-
drives for a while.
yeah.
No, she drives on the second leg, doesn't
Yeah,
she?
yeah, I think you're right.
So on this one,
No, I think it was this one.
it was the third leg, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
because then he gets her out of the car and he goes, no, go around the front.
Yeah.
And while she's standing there, he's
freaking-
like gunning the engine and
Yeah.
like, that's where they kind of have the breakdown. Like, let's get this out in the,
Yeah.
And that's when he shows her his hand.
No, that's that was
Right?
no, that was later.
Oh, okay.
That was later because she knows that their plan has failed or something like
Right.
that. So she grabs a wheel and they're about to go
Oh,
off a
that's
cliff.
right.
He's like, "Let me show you something," and he pulls off his glove.
But
But
he has a,
we'll get to that here in a
okay,
second.
okay. I'm excited.
So literally they're driving through. They're doing all this again. Calamity Jane, she walks up to him before they leave, and she's like, "Hey, listen. You know, whatever happens, it was fun to race with you guys." And he's like, "All right, thanks." And she walks up to Viterbo and he's like, "Get off my hood," or something like that.
Yeah,
She's like,
he's
"Okay."
Totally.
So how does Calamity Jane go?
So this is the craziest part. They set a landmine
That's right.
and she pulls up real fast and then stops and she completely misses it. And you're like, oh, she made it.
Yeah.
And then she starts backing up. She's like, oh, she's going to hit it. And then she doesn't hit it.
Yeah.
And if she could have just made a turn like a normal human being,
Yeah.
she would have never hit it. But she makes like a 4-point turn or
Yeah.
3-point turn.
Because she kicks all those dudes' asses too while
Yeah.
she's driving. She like literally leans over and hits one biker dude, knocks him over.
Yeah.
They're like jumping into her deal and she's punching him out.
Yeah, she's doing a great job.
Yeah. And then she follows that dude and he jumps and his motorcycle explodes. But that deal, she looks around after she stopped and she sees all the cars that have bullet
Holes
in
in
them.
them. And she's like, I'm getting the hell out of here.
So she's backing up and you're like, oh,
And like he misses it a couple times and then it's like this 3-point turn where of course she hits it and then explodes.
the 3-point turn of doom.
Yes.
It's like, boom, done. So yeah, so she's gone. So it's only those two left, you know. So it's Viterbo and Frankenstein,
Yes.
right? That's when they kind of,
Which is, you know, that's the rivalry anyways, because
Right.
again, Machine Gun Joe Viterbo is always second
yeah,
to Frankenstein.
he wants to win. He's the only other living driver to have won
right.
more than one of those anyway.
Right.
Like Frankenstein's won pretty much all of them. He's won 2 of them. Nobody else has won. Calamity Jane didn't. Nero didn't.
Matilda the Hun.
Yeah. So he's really, really, really wanting to win.
Yes.
You know, big time. But
And he's a dick.
yeah. Well, when he finally finds out, right before he tells her to walk in front of the car, there's a little kid pushing a tire down the road.
That's right. Oh, because has her driving at this
Mhm.
point.
He's like, it's a quick score.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points. And she's like, all right. And then she misses him. And
yeah,
she's
yeah.
like, oh, maybe it's not so easy. Maybe I just miss. And he's like, it's not easy. Anytime you
It's
do it.
never easy.
Yeah, it's never easy. And then, and that's when he has her pull over and everything. And then finally, after she figures it out, that's when they're going and they're about to go off the cliff because she grabs the wheel.
Yes.
Because he did at one point, like he drugs her.
Yes. So
And-
that she's knocked out.
Yeah, she's knocked out for that one period to where he has to kill the airplane dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot about the airplane.
Yeah,
guy.
and she's like, I'm sorry. He goes, I'm sorry. They were your people. I know that, but it had to be done.
And the best part, again, it was the French Air Force.
Yes. Yeah, because when they were at the second dinner, they're like, did you hear? It was the French that were doing it. No, it wasn't. That's just weird. He's like, huh?
I think it's so weird. That's such a old school play. Like, let's blame the French.
Yeah, let's blame the French. Weird. So yeah, the airplane goes by. He finally gets that dude out. She wakes back up, and that's when she freaks out and she grabs a wheel. And so they get to the edge of some cliff. He gets out and he's like, I can't believe that once you find out that you lost, you're going to just chuck it all away and take the wheel. And she's like, well, she says something. He's like, that's the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard you say. And then he takes his glove off.
So great.
What is it?
It is a metal hand with a grenade in it. It is a hand grenade.
Because that's what his life is for.
Yes, because he gets to
wants that.
shake the president's hand. He's going to kill him and overthrow everything. That's really his plan.
You would think that with all the touching that he did of her,
She would have known that it was
she'd have been
metal
like,
in it.
"What's in your glove?
Right.
That's weird.
Maybe
it feels
it's
like
just a heavy
grenade.
glove.
Yeah, it feels like a grenade. That's weird." So his hand works. That was the surgery that was done on him probably at the very beginning.
Would they have put the grenade in it?
Somebody did.
Yeah, somebody did.
So the
Probably
reason-
the French.
Yeah, something like that. It was probably the French.
He was pretty close if he was at Swiss doctors, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when they get in that final confrontation with home dude
With the
Viterbo.
Turbo, yeah.
And they're crashing into each other, going down the highway in between, Vegas and probably LA, right?
Yep.
So she's like, "Give me your hand." And of course, his whole life he's been waiting to shake the president's hand.
He just gives it to her.
She unscrews it and throws it, and the Myra chick's like, "Oh, stop right now! It's a."
And they dies.
Yeah, they get exploded.
And he's pretty jacked up at this point because with the Air Force.
Yeah.
So he's got like a big cut on his arm. Remember that?
Yeah.
And so she ends up putting on the Frankenstein outfit.
How?
Yeah.
I mean,
'cause she's got a plan.
Yeah.
Didn't she have a knife or something?
Yeah,
when we're not there yet, but
she had like a penknife.
yeah.
It's weird.
So she goes up to shake the president's hand. She's got her little knife out, and then suddenly Thomasina Payne
Shoots her?
shoots Frankenstein because she thinks that he's
It's him.
Well, and she thinks that he like hurt Annie or
Yeah.
killed her or something. But really, she just shot her great granddaughter.
But you
you
notice that that's not really Frankenstein, because whenever the car stops, he reaches up with his right hand
Yep.
and pulls himself out, and you're like, "That's not Frankenstein."
Nope, you're right, 100%.
You're like, "Wait a minute."
He
And
doesn't
then-
have a right hand.
But then he crawls out of the wherever, because that
Right.
little ass car, he's in
The
his skivvies
hatch.
again. Yeah. He's in his skivvies, and then he runs over the dill, and it kills the president.
Yeah, like they're in a giant like scaffolding kind of bandstand thing.
Weird.
Yeah,
So he wins,
yeah,
of course, as you do.
and then becomes the president.
Yeah, and they're married.
Yeah,
And he's like, "I'm going to immediately pension out the and that's pretty cool. I mean, he's not a dick. The secret police, he's going to pension them out. He's going to free democracy or reinstate democracy. He's going to do all this shit."
he's gonna end the race.
And that was the last thing he says, when we're going to end the race. And of course his new wife is
Junior
like,
freaks out.
yeah. And he's like, "Why are you going to end it? This is what we all like." And the lid shuts and he runs him over. The end.
He even made Thomasina Payne like the
Yes.
secretary of something.
The Interior or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah, some Secretary of the Interior.
I don't know, something.
Yeah. And she's like, "Yay, democracy's back."
So together, the rebels and Frankenstein save democracy
Yes.
after
And
30 years of I can't even say that word.
totalitarianism.
Totalitarian rule. That's where I was going. Totalitarian.
Well, yeah. And then we get black. The end. Overall, great movie.
Great.
It's not Forrest Gump caliber.
I think great's a stretch. There is enjoyable parts of this movie. It's got good pacing. It like the 80 minutes kind of flies by.
It really
I think,
does. It really does.
And I like the American Gladiator style characters. It's just silly. It's kind of a silly movie with kind of overtones of, like real things,
Yeah.
how things could have gone awry.
Yeah, and again in the mid 70s, it was a pretty dirty time anyway.
Yeah,
I guess I just
I know gas was expensive at some point.
yeah, everything was just kind of weird, and everybody thought that everything was going to go to shit. And then the 80s happened, and guess what? Wonder Woman
Everybody
saved the
did
day.
cocaine and made lots of money.
There we go. Yeah, and then the 90s was like, "Hey, let's relax." And
Everybody got
2000s,
that shirt with the alligator on.
members only jacket.
Yes.
I
No socks with their shoes and their long pants.
loafers. I lost a penny for my loafer. That's not cool. But yeah, so yeah, because it's really not post-apocalyptic, but it is.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a, it kind of, not really an apocalypse. It's just a crash of like the government and the stock market. It seemed like everything just crashed. So this was their way to fix it, was like, let's just make it a totalitarian rule. you
Yeah,
know?
dystopian future.
Yeah.
But like you have at the very beginning they have those elegant matte paintings.
Yes.
They're so 2000 AD. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They're like total. They weren't even Mobius style. You know what I mean? Some dude was just drawing blocks and putting them together, and was like, "Ooh, let's put a train on here." Yeah, wasn't that cool? But I mean, you could see how on a $300,000 budget, with what they had,
Oh yeah.
they could do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they spent most of the money on the freaking cars, probably. You know, I bet you each one of the principal actors made 20 grand.
And the masseurs.
Yeah, yeah. All the beefcakes, all the hunks. But yeah, I mean, everybody had to make probably a cool $5 grand, you know, and Carradine probably made 10, you know,
Yeah.
and at that point, that was pretty big.
Well, no, he made 10% of the gross of the film.
Oh shit!
Yeah, because he's David Carradine,
Yeah.
and he's like at that point, he's really the only big time person in this movie.
Yeah, but they made $5 to $8 million.
Yeah.
So they cleaned house with this movie. I mean, for real.
Well, I think a lot of that was. Did they make that in the box office?
I think so.
Because
It-
I know they made like I saw their video totals, their rental totals, were on something.
This was like one of the.
Yeah, here we go. According to Variety, the film earned $4.8 million in rentals in the U.S.
So he got a piece of that right there.
I'm sure,
Yeah, he got everything.
dude. Yeah, so he made like $500,000 probably, anyways.
Yeah. So the
Is that right?
legacy.
Is that math?
Yeah, probably. Not a friend of me.
Yeah, 5,500,000. Right? Yes.
Somewhere. I don't know.
You don't know. Yeah, that's right.
No, I don't. I don't.
That's math.
But the legacy of this film is pretty broad.
Yes.
You have the 1982 video game, Maze Death Race, for the Sinclair ZX81 computer,
And don't forget, isn't the Prism
ZX Spectrum.
Spectrum? That's it. Yeah.
It only resembles
I've never heard any of those computers, by the way.
Never. The Carmageddon video game, Carmageddon 2, Carpocalypse now, Carmageddon 3, TDR 2000. And
Yeah,
then
they're all based off that, of course.
and you know what? The comic book was
Death Race 2020. It's like Roger Corman knew something, because that was his imprint. That was his comic.
Roger Corman.
Yeah.
Roger Corman's Cosmic Comics.
Yeah. So it's like they knew something would happen in 2020. Wonder what really happened. Anyways.
The plot to take down the towers. Now, of course, they had the remakes.
Yeah, with Jason Statham.
Which were pretty decent. They came out 2008.
7.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh no, maybe it was 2000. It was 2000.
Yeah.
They started making it in 2007.
Yeah.
I have watched maybe 20 minutes of one of these movies, and it was like, I think they were in like a prison or something. They were racing, and I was like, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, this is dumb.
It was basically like 30 years later that they decided to remake this movie and Rollerball.
Yeah.
And they didn't do Soylent Green though, because those three movies came out about the same time.
Yeah, sure.
So you had that weird kind of deal. And then they did the direct sequel, which was Death Race 2050. And that came out in 2017.
And that was a Roger Corman movie
Yes.
as well, correct?
Yeah.
And you've seen that one?
I've seen probably 20 minutes of it. Maybe not even that much because it was so bad. This was like beyond porno bad too. You know what I mean? Like it was horrible bad. Like bad.
Right.
Like they took, toy cars and like had people's fingers on them, like driving on walls and stuff. It was really weird, but people loved it because it was Roger Corman.
Yeah, wouldn't you say Twisted Metal? Do you remember those games?
Ooh, yeah.
Those are kind of based on this too. Really? I mean, not the race portion of it as much as like smashing and killing each other.
Yeah.
Cars, and they're all themed cars.
Why? Right. Well, this came out in 75.
Yes.
Rollerball did come out in 75. God. So they're kind of comparing the Running Man to
and
this?
that was actually Rollerball. Let me make sure I got this right, but I think that was the impetus of that movie that was being made was the reason Corman wanted to do this movie.
Yeah, because it was a sports
Yeah.
science fiction.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can't beat James Caan. Yeah, Rollerball would be a cool game to watch if they weren't like killing each other. You know, with the motorcycles and people, you know, like skateboarding.
It's been a long time since I saw Rollerball. I know I've seen both of them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's been a while.
Oh, the new one was really bad because it had LL Cool J in it.
As you do.
Oh, but James Caan was pretty awesome. He's like, I'm not going to do it. And then he starts playing football after that with that one dude, Brian Song. His name was Brian Song.
That was his name?
Yes.
Nice.
But yeah, overall, I like this movie. I really
it's
do.
enjoyable to watch. I mean, it's not a great movie by any means.
No.
But it's definitely a guilty pleasure. I enjoy it. I enjoyed the heck out of watching it again. I hadn't seen it in a lot of years. And yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of in the...
It was worth it for Gopher from the Love Boat.
Well, listen to this that I just pulled up. Pages for the 1970s dystopian films. Okay. So you got Battle for the Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, A Clockwork Orange. Never really thought of that one. Kind of like that.
Sort of is, though.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, Future World, which that was just a weird one. Logan's Run, The Man Who Fell to Earth with David Bowie.
The Running Man.
Yeah.
Not
No.
on what you're doing, but I mean, similar to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know? Sorry.
Invasion of the Booty Snatchers.
Ooh, the booty snatchers. Snatching booty.
Silent Running, Soylent Green, THX 1138, Westworld, and Zardoz.
There you go.
That was the 70s. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because Silent Running, I haven't really watched too many times.
I don't think I've seen it.
I think I got it the other day. I just need to watch it, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, and then the 80s came out and had some really good movies after that, you know. But
Well, and I think you had a lot more dystopian films even in that. You know?
The Running Man, as far as like a game show type of a deal, love that movie.
Sure, and it's very much with the archetypes too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And again, very much American Gladiators, 80s wrestling, you
Yep.
know?
Love it. That's one of my favorite, if not my favorite Schwarzenegger movie.
Ooh. Favorite
tough one.
Schwarzenegger movie?
That's a tough one. It's either Commando or that.
I like Predator a lot.
Predator's badass because he's not, Arnold Schwarzenegger in that.
Yeah, I think that's why I like him.
Yeah,
and
Dutch.
Conan's great, of course.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Commando.
Every one of his movies.
Alyssa Milano. I loved
Yeah.
that movie when I was a kid.
Every one of his movies back then was awesome until he did Twins, and then I was like, no. Sorry, Danny DeVito.
Well, 12-year-old me loved 12-year-old Alyssa Milano.
Yeah.
So,
Why not?
and I'm like, oh, we get Arnold Schwarzenegger and Alyssa Milano? I'm in.
Together. Done. But we digress at the end of this episode.
So how many kills out of 10 would you give this?
Just on my enjoyment of it,
whatever, man. However you want to rank it.
I'm going to say 6.5 to 7.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so not really up there at a full 10, but not down there at a 2.
I would give it a 6.
Yeah.
I would give it a 6. I mean, my enjoyment level of it was probably an 8. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I
Love
I
it.
dug
Yeah.
it. I dug it. I was like, man, I haven't seen this in so long. This is so cool.
It just makes
And,
sense.
The blood looks like something came out of a ravioli can.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's that temper
So,
paint
yeah,
blood.
yeah, of
you know,
course.
like Dawn of the Dead.
Yep.
It looks so bad.
It looked terrible.
Yeah, even the knife looked bad. They needed to sharpen it.
That fight scene, man. That's hard to watch. Hard to watch.
And just know that he took on Apollo Creed later on.
And then he redeemed Apollo Creed by beating the Russian.
Yes.
He also beat Mr. T.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He also beat Brain Damage.
Drain Bramage?
Yes.
I beat that Drain Bramage.
I beat it with Tommy Gunn.
Touch me and I'll sue.
Nothing here to do that here. What? Sorry.
Well, if you've enjoyed our show, if you've enjoyed listening to the Drop Culture Podcast, please hit us up with a like, a review, anything that you can do. If you even want to send me like $1 and say, here you go, buddy. Here's $1 for some bubble gum. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to eat this bubble gum while we're recording.
Reviews are worth more than dollars, I'll tell you that.
They are. Just go to, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on everything, as you know, wherever you're listening. We're on all of the socials, pretty much, except for LinkedIn. We don't have a Drop Culture LinkedIn yet. We might be working on that soon. I wonder how that would work.
I don't think that would work.
I don't know, maybe. So I'll have to check it out. So yeah, hit us up.
Yeah, and no matter what, you can always just go to www.droppedculture.com.
Stick around for a spell.
Yeah, poke around, see what happens.
And if you like this episode, we got a whole bunch of episodes in front of this one. And don't forget, we're on Mondays and Thursdays with new episodes. Mondays, we have our quick cast, and then Thursdays, we have our long form podcast where we go over absolutely anything we want to. So, if you enjoyed the show, again,
check it out.
Check out the archives.
Yes.
And again, my name is Big Daddy Brock.
Yeah, it is.
And we'll see you later.
Peace.
And these cars are like super small, but like super badass.
Right.
And they're supposed to be going really fast, like you said, like,
it's like 200 and some miles. But yeah, they don't look like they're going that fast ever.
No.
Unless it's a cutscene and it looks like it's speeded up like in the 1940s. Right. There's a couple of those where I'm like, oh, maybe they are fast.
Yeah. Yeah.